So you're suggesting that women would, because the way you're making it sound, it's like women are losing rights, but yet they're going to be loyal to an idea, even if it means harming their own freedoms, voting against their own best interests.
Absolutely, because I do believe, not all of them, but I do believe a nice chunk of them actually are more focused on other people's suffering instead of that. They feel like I'll suffer a little bit just as long as other people suffer more.
Focused on other people's suffering. You got to explain it. What do you mean by that?
Because, okay, so the whole idea, when you talk about MAGA, like the whole idea, making America great again, like for who? Like, if you ask women, right, when was America great for women? Think about that. Like, we talk about women's rights. Women just got the right to have a bank account in the mid-70s.
Right.
So when was America great for women? It doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. If, as a woman, reflect.
Didn't count. Thank you. Well, I'll tell you right off the bat, some women do favor the age of chivalry. All women, okay, right now women have freedom, they have the right to work. They don't need a man in their life and things like that, which to me sounds like where you want to be. But in reality, the idea that someone else is going to take care of you, all you got to do is take care of home and properly raise the children. A lot of women wish they had more time to spend with their children when the kids were growing up and they didn't have to let the kids go with a stranger in daycare. They believe they could properly raise the kids themselves. There are women out there that do have that nostalgia for yesteryear and would favor living that life where someone took care of the finances and they took care of the children. Because make no mistake about it, man or woman, going to work every day comes with a lot of stresses. We live in a society where employment and employer and employee, there's no loyalty, there's no job security or any of that. Women of yesteryear, they didn't have to worry about any of that.
You're right, but you see, the change of that lifestyle isn't on the backs of men or women. To change and get that lifestyle back to where it needs to be, it needs to be placed directly on the shoulders of corporate America. The 1%, who I like to call the overseers. Yeah. It is on them because the lifestyle has changed because we can't afford to live here.
Yeah. Well, and that's hard. I mean, we do have a life. We do have a country now where not only do we get paid less in terms of inflation than our people of yesteryear, but also Americans want more. When we, if you go back to the era when only one parent worked, they didn't have all the luxuries and things that we want today. I mean, the average American family now, you want a lot more stuff.
Yeah, but we work harder too.
Yeah.
Like we work more hours. A lot of us have more education. We have invested hundreds of thousands of dollars into our education. Yeah. So I believe that if a person is $80,000 to $100,000 in education debt, when I come out of college and you offer me a job paying me $15 an hour, I need to legally be able to whoop your ass. Because that is not a good investment. That's not a good return in your investment, right? Mm-hmm. I for one, I am in favor of free college education. I'm in favor of free I'm in favor of free health care for all American citizens. I'm in favor of that because I lived in a country where America pays for that country to have those benefits. That country.
But how do you respond to taxpayers who say nothing is free? Just because you're not paying for it, somebody else is. You're not getting it for free. You're getting it from somebody else.
We're all paying into it, right? We're all paying taxes. Whether you pay federal, state, and local sales tax, whatever it is, a water tax, candy tax, plastic bag tax. If you're from Chicago, you know what I'm talking about. Everyone pays taxes, and our taxes go into one singular coffer. And I do believe that the American people, it is time for us to get something for our tax country, deserve their shopping list taken care of. Everybody else is we always got money when it's time to bail out the 1%. But then when it's time to do something for the working class American, to save the middle class, to take care of the poor, and to keep this economy going so everybody can get a piece of the American pie, all of a sudden we broke. But I'm not feeling it. Oh. Because if something happens tomorrow, if we have another crash tomorrow, watch what happens. It's going to be another bailout package. Somehow we're going to pull money out of our red, white, and blue sphincters to go out here and give it to the 1%. And then American people, the middle class, and because the middle class is damn near eradicated, why can't we get a bailout? Like our number one,
But
our number,
you know, folks are going to call that socialism, right?
well, the concept of the United States is socialist, right? All of these states pour into one coffer of the federal government, and it doesn't matter how much you put into it. If you, that's like Mississippi. We know Mississippi ain't sending $20 billion to the United States, right?
Right.
But if they have a $20 billion natural disaster, they get to pull from FEMA.
It's a good point. There is some socialism there, but
yeah, the whole concept of the United States is actually a socialist concept. We just got capitalism in there to add a little razzle dazzle, but welfare and everything else are socialist ideals. Social Security, Medicaid, and all of that. Those are socialist.
a lot of things that the anti-socialist crowd kind of want to get rid of. I got to move it on though, Navi. Good talk. Is that first time talking?
Say that again.
First time talking.
This is my second time up here, but it was a while ago.
Okay.
But I enjoyed it too. Thank you for having me up.
Don't be a stranger. Come back anytime. Thank you.
No problem.
Moving on with the program, I did want to address a super chat, and I don't know what's going on YouTube. For some reason, I'm having issues with the program. We'll try to make it work as is. If you can vote Democrat after the damage they've done and intend to do, your commitment to stupidity is truly staggering, says Stephen Cameron. If you can vote Democrat after the damage they've done and intend to do, your commitment to stupidity is truly staggering. Well, when you say the Democrats have done a lot of damage and they intend to do damage, I'm going to assume you lean right on policies. I mean, like for instance, we talked about pro-choice, pro-life with my last caller. I don't think a Democratic voter believes what the Democrats want to do to a woman's right to choose is damage. I think they think the right has been damaging to that. We're talking also about the fact that a 14-year-old went to school and took a few lives, and the idea that in several states in this country, almost 24 states if I'm correct, there is no law limiting the age in which a kid can own a long rifle. That ain't coming from the Democratic Party. I think you'd be hard pressed to find any Democrat in the country that would agree that a 5, 10, 12-year-old child should be able to own a rifle. Most Democrats, certainly the ones in power, would disagree with that. That's coming from the right. So the idea that the Democrats are doing damage, it depends on your policies, your own personal principles. I appreciate the comment, though. You finally repeated someone's words that were right. Democratic voters know so much, but all of it is just not true. Tom S., once again, depends on your personal principles. Trump, you're going to tell me the Democrats believe in a bunch of shit that's not true, but you think everything the right believes in is factual? Trump just admitted the other damn day that he lost the 2020 election by a whisker. How many Republicans think otherwise? So both sides are not always honest 100% of the time. Appreciate your input, Tom. Why you hate Democrats? You support white, rich oligarchs. That came in as a question. Why do you hate Democrats? Because you support rich, white oligarchs. I'll leave that one alone. Going back to the box. Wow. Tap the screen, get the likes up to about 35,000. We can make that happen. Tap the screen. Certainly on YouTube, smash that like button. See if we can get the likes up to about 30 on YouTube. I don't know what the hell is going on with YouTube. I'm trying to continue the program, make it work. Smash that like button on YouTube. Going back to the box, and real quick on the comments on YouTube, and I meant to address this. I talked about some women favoring the nostalgia of being a housewife, being a homemaker, and not having to worry about the finances, worry about getting them going to work every damn day and the stresses that come along with that. I don't want to come across, that I ignored the women in the audience that stated what I was saying was full of shit. Andy, I'm talking to you as well. So that's bullshit. There are women out there though. Listen, I'm a guy going to work every damn day that does not have that option. So I do have a certain amount of ignorance to what I'm saying. I'll admit that, just like on pro-choice, pro-life issues. I don't want to come across as a know-it-all. I'll never be pregnant. But at the end of the day, I do believe there are some women, and I see it in comments, somebody giving Andy the thumbs up. I do believe that there are some women that would love the idea of having a guy take care of them and support them and not having to go to work every damn day. Now, I'll tell you this, despite what folks say, I do personally believe that now that women have the right to go to work and earn their own living every day like everybody else do, there are a lot of women that are not happy with that. I mean, there are a lot of stresses to going to work every damn day. There are guys out there that would love to meet a chick that would pay all the bills and go to work, and all they got to do is stay home and keep the house clean. There are guys out there that would take that position. So there are some women that would favor that. Twain to Square, Tim, Dick Cheney endorses Kamala Harris. Yeah, his daughter, Liz Cheney, thanks for the super chat, Twain. His daughter, Liz Cheney, just came out and stated that she is endorsing Kamala Harris. I don't think that surprised anyone. But now her father, which I don't think would really surprise anyone as well, because my guess is the Bushes, Mitt Romney, the McCain family, I think all of them are avoiding Trump this go round. I don't think Trump gets any, I mean, none of them were at the RNC. Appreciate the shades there, DJ Julio. Thank you. So going back to the box, the issue is a lack of choice. Leo, a lack of choice, I 100% agree. 100% agree with that. And the women hammered me for my statement. I'll leave it at that. Let me go back to the box. We'll go to Dencal. Good afternoon, Dencal. Welcome to the program. Did I cross some lines? Dencal, by saying some women would prefer to go back to being a homemaker?
Yes. I would say you did.
Because I saw it in the comments.
The fact of the matter is, man, if we really think about it, like that Pandora's box has been open, and I don't think we can ever put it back in. I don't think we can ever go back to the single family, the single income household, and where the woman stays. Like those days have passed.
Yeah.
And we can continue to try to fight. Like one day we can go back to that, but that's just not how our world did. Like we've evolved.
So then let me ask you this question. I agree with you. Going back to the day when only one member of the household worked, it would be very challenging. But folks are suggesting, at least some Democrats are suggesting, that J.D. Vance and maybe to a lesser degree even Trump is trying to take us back to that. At the end of the day, the liberals are yelling, we're not going back. Do you believe that the Trump administration is actually trying to take women back to that era?
Yes, of course. I mean, look, there's plenty of information and interviews with him about how he feels that a woman their place should be in the household, and this is Trump, and we all know how J.D. Vance feels about it, and so I don't think we even have to guess whether that's what they want to do. The problem is, women now have advanced to the point now where they're not just going to take a back seat like that. Their education level, if you look at the schools and the graduation rates of women, you just can't automatically go back and tell women, okay, now you can just, chill out at the house, because that's not going to happen.
Yeah. But I get a lot of women on the program that represent MAGA that think Trump does have the best vision for this country. Now, I know you're giving the twisted sister, what is the song? We're not going to take it, but at the end of the day, why are there so many women that still support Trump if what you're saying is true?
I mean, maybe a lot of those women are in those situations and would like for everybody else to be on them. I couldn't really understand. It would be hard for me to see a woman that has taken the time and went and got her education, and has maybe had some children, but maybe are not in a long-term relationship. It's hard for me to believe that woman would be going to the ballot box saying, "Yeah, I'm gonna fight so I can go sit down somewhere and let a man take care of me." I just don't think that's rational for the women in today's
But
society.
what about the notion, because some believe, particularly on the right, that Trump is not trying to hurt women's or harm women's rights at all, that the Democrats are just making this all up. For instance, Tyler Parrish on YouTube states, did Trump put women in a household when he was president 4 years ago? This caller, referring to you, Dencal, says this caller needs to get the hell off CNN, suggesting you're just watching Trump bashing networks and they're feeding you your talking points.
Well, I mean, if we look at the women that were historically a part of his administration or that were around him, they were all subservient women to him. I don't care if he puts them in a job position. They all.
No, he means no. My viewer means legislatively. When Trump was president, did he actually pass any laws or even attempt to pass any laws that would take away women's rights?
Yes. Yes. Well, the not technically legislation, because you couldn't put something like that in legislation. But his efforts to put in the proper judges who would get rid of Roe v. Wade is that's how he can effect change for women. That's how he can, when he says he's going to put it back to the states. There are certain areas that had this right that had been taken away from them. That's taking away a woman's right. Regardless if you place that right in the state next door, you've taken their right to do what they want to, with their bodies in that particular place. I mean, yes, he's actually forwarded legislation, and he's even talked in ways that are discriminatory towards women. I mean, he goes around calling Nikki Haley, who was a I'm not a big fan of hers, but she was a phenomenal.
You talking about bird brain?
Yeah, like she had worked her way up the ladder and became one of the most prominent female politicians than ever. And as soon as she disagreed with him and ran against him, she became a bird brain. Like, I don't. He says Kamala Harris is not. He doesn't think she's very intelligent.
Bro, until she endorsed him for a second time, he also thought she was intelligent when he appointed her as ambassador from 2016 to 2018. But I want to bring this one up. Just Jinx on YouTube is pushing back, stating, what women's right did Trump take away? And you can't use abortion because he simply gave it back to the states, suggesting that it is still available to women.
If you have something taken away from you and given and placed somewhere else, then it's been taken away from you. I can't explain that anymore to a person. Like, it's been taken away.
I can explain it. If you could do something in your hometown today that you got to go 100 miles away to do tomorrow, you just lost the right to do it in your damn hometown. It's as simple as that. If all of us, if you live in New Orleans and you used to have a right to choose, but now you got to drive all the way across the state to New Mexico or up to Illinois, all the way from New Orleans to do it, you lost the right to do it within 1,000 miles. It's as simple as that. And I see in the comments somebody said, well, you should move then.
Exactly. So it was taken away. If you got to move to go. You got to go move to go get it, and then you got people that now that it's down to the states, as they call it. People in the states are looking at ways that they can monitor women's cycles so they can see when they're ovulating, and then they can closely watch them to make sure they don't go out of town. And it's just like.
I do agree with you that we're talking about a woman's right to choose versus her not having the right to choose. But you're right. They've talked about IVF in the morning after pill. They have at least entertained going after more than just a woman's right to choose. That is more than just that is on the table. But yeah, the idea that, because somebody said just move. Okay, then now you're saying that a woman can still exercise the right to choose, but she has to move. Well, that in itself is an adherence. I mean, how much does it cost to move your entire lifestyle to another state? That's a loss. That's going to be a loss of thousands of dollars. There's no other way to explain that.
Yeah, that's like telling somebody that they have 2A rights, but they've outlawed them in one particular state. Where if you don't like it, just move to Alabama, where it's no, that's not how rights work.
Yeah. Well, it isn't a right though. Roe versus Wade, you never had a right.
I get that, but it has been on the books, and people have been utilizing that right for 50 years. So to say it's that, I get it. It's not necessarily technically enshrined in the Constitution, but at the same time, the Constitution and the laws of this country are living documents that are supposed to move and change according to society.
Yeah. Well, that's a progressive argument. The traditionalists want the country to really be similar to how the founding fathers intended. But Ed G on YouTube states losing the right to I'm trying not to get the live band, but he says to murder a baby is a dumb argument as saying losing the right to own slaves is losing the right. So he's saying that telling a woman yelling that she's lost the right to terminate the life of her baby is akin to a slave owner yelling that he lost the right to own people. I can't totally disagree with him. I mean, I don't want to agree with him, but right. The way he's phrasing it, I mean,
that's right. Like, yeah, that is right. But we know, but we inherently know as human beings that, owning people is not the right. Now, even though they wrote it down in the books and called it, and called us 3/5 of a human being and justify it and all of that stuff, like, that's a totally different, that's apples and oranges.
Yeah, but you are taking a life. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm 100% pro-choice. I don't believe in forcing a woman to do anything, but I do admit you are executing something that otherwise would have been alive.
Well, then we start going down
I know where you're going, and I agree with you.
A viability and what it is and what it's not and all of that stuff. That's totally different than if we had a cut and dry these human beings standing in front of us, and doing something to them to unalive them. It's two different things.
And that's the argument that the right believes you have a life at conception. The left believes it has to be out of the womb and taking a breath before it's. I mean, they have a different. The right and left have a different opinion of what life is. So, and I don't know how you could ever.
I can't even call the people that say that they're pro-life. We can't necessarily call them pro-life. Whenever they enter the discussion with there's exceptions, then you're not necessarily pro-life. If you say, well, in this situation, it's all right to unalive something.
Well, no. I mean, if a woman's life is on the line. Let's say you're pro-life. I believe in protecting the life of the unborn. But I got a patient here that's about to lose her life if we don't terminate this. You can do that and still be pro-life, can't you?
Which life is more important?
Okay, so you're saying we're picking and choosing.
Hey, I'm saying that's what they're doing. They're saying they're pro-life, but then they're saying, well, just in case of rape or incest.
I'm for saving the life that I know is confirmed. The one that's been around on earth, that has lived, the one that's in the womb. I'm going to go with the life that is before me, the one that came in for help, the one that I actually talked to before I put under anesthesia. I'm saving that one first.
Well, I don't give but a little bit of time on here. I don't want to spend it talking about abortion because nobody's ever going to agree on what's really what. Right now, we've got a Supreme Court that however they got to that point, they've levied their decision. They said it goes back to the states. Now the states are voting on it, and everywhere you go, the states are saying, no, we are not down for this. And it is going to affect these candidates up and down the ballots where this stuff is on the ballot, which is on the ballot in a lot of states, that people are just, they're just not going to sit there and say, I'm cool with him trying to impose tariffs, so I'm just gonna go ahead and go with him with that, even though I don't believe, these people, if that legislation crossed his desk today and it said a 6-week ban, he'd sign it in a heartbeat.
Right. Yeah. Well, he's claiming he wouldn't though.
He claiming he wouldn't, but he would. We know him. He's transactional. If the people get him across the finish line and get him into office, he will give them what he promised, or he will give them what they asked to get him across the finish line.
Fair enough. Dencal, appreciate you coming through as always. Thank you. And by the way, a lot of folks believe what you said, that what Trump is stating is different than what he might do, at least in regards to the pro-choice, pro-life argument. Just like the Supreme Court justices said one thing before the appointments and did another once they were appointed. So I think a lot of folks agree with you on that.
And then one last thing, he pops up out of the blue because everything is he's getting scared on it, saying free IVF for everybody. The government will pay for it. What is that? What was that?
That wasn't popular with the likes of Lindsey Graham and most Republicans. They shot that down immediately. That wasn't popular.
He said it because he wants to get these people to vote for him. Oh. He wants to say something that they agree with so that they will vote for him, even though he has no intention of doing that.
We'll see. A lot of female MAGA out there, Dencal. Thanks for coming through. Appreciate it. I want to say something before I go back to the box. And by the way, tap the screen. Let's see if we can get up to about 50,000. We certainly can. Almost 500 of you in here. Appreciate you rolling with your boy this nice Friday evening. Could be anywhere you want to be. Thanks for being here. We are MAGA friendly. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary. MAGA are my preferred guest, but you're going to probably hear a lot more folks to the left simply by the nature of my audience on TikTok tends to lean more left, and my audience on YouTube tends to lean more right, and the callers are coming from TikTok. I can't do anything about that, but we are MAGA friendly. We do take guests from all sides, left of Bernie Sanders, so I'm having dinner with QAnon. You enjoy civilized dialogue from all sides of the aisle, follow the program on TikTok, a subscription on YouTube, if you will. We're here Monday through Friday, always in an uncensored format, always MAGA friendly. What I was going to talk about, pro-choice versus, what did it say, you can't get it, says Leo. I sound like my ex. You can't get it. In regards to pro-choice, pro-life argument, here's what often baffles me. The same crowd that is pro-life is also pro-capital punishment. Now, the pushback is this. If you're going to believe that taking the life of the unborn in regards to a mother exercising her right to choose, you are indeed believing that she is terminating a healthy life for whatever reason she deems fit. But if you support capital punishment, isn't that the exact same thing? Okay, you believe this individual committed a hell of a lot of sins while on earth, so you're going to get, because this came up with the 14-year-old today in Georgia, before they had to correct it, because you can't execute a kid under, a person under the age of 17 or 18. But they talked about death. Now, if you believe a criminal should be executed for certain crimes, violating the innocence of kids and taking somebody's life, what's the difference? You're picking and choosing why you want to take a life. How does that make you any different than the mom? The mom may believe that if she's in financial destitute or if she was sexually assaulted, that gives her a reason to terminate the life of the unborn. You may believe if somebody has harmed a child or taken a life during a liquor store robbery, that gives you the right to take the life. How are you really any different than someone who is pro-choice? You're exercising your choice to take a life on a criminal. Make no mistake about it, that person that committed that crime is in custody. They're not going to harm anybody else. You're taking that life solely as a measure of revenge. That is it. Some might also argue, well, you'll save the taxpayers money as opposed to keeping them keeping them locked up for 20 years. So now you're taking a life to save money. How the hell does that make you any better than a woman you're arguing about that's terminating a life for what reasons she deemed fit? You got to look at this stuff both ways, folks. That's all I'm saying. I'm pro-choice, 100%. But I do admit you are terminating the life of something that otherwise would have lived. But taking a guy and putting him on death row is essentially the same damn thing. It's the same damn thing. You're taking something that is alive and picking and choosing a reason for why you want to take the life of it. Why is killing okay when you deem fit, but not when she does it? Can somebody explain that to me? Tap the screen, get the likes up to 50,000. We'll go back to the next caller. In the comments, Gen X says wrong. I am 100% against capital punishment for one reason. Mistakes are made. Until capital punishment is 100% foolproof, I don't support it. Gen X, I'm 100% behind you on that, but even still, even if it's perfect, you are still doing the same thing as a woman exercising a pro-choice rights. You're taking the life of something that is alive and you're executing. And the only reason capital punishment exists is to satisfy vengeance. The person is in custody. They're no longer harmful to society. You don't need to execute them. You're doing that for revenge. That's it. That is the only reason capital punishment exists. You're doing it for revenge. You can call it justice for the family. It's revenge. That's it. You're not taking their life for any other reason. How is that acceptable? But the mom that claims she's struggling or whatever, her method is a sin, but capital punishment is acceptable. Somebody explain that. Look it in the comments. Who gives women the right to take a baby's life? I don't know where to go with that because it is the mom's body, and you're asking her who gives her the right to do what she want to do with her own body. Who gives you the right to tell her what she should do is the question you should be asking. Going back to the box, DJ Julio, good afternoon. Welcome to the, Andy was what I thought I was fat fingering it. All right, Andy, I know I'm getting a bunch of things wrong in your eyes.
First of all, that woman at home, that's a fantasy. Women back then used to get up, put on their makeup before. You don't think that shit's work? Take care of the kids all day. Keep the house all day. Take care of all that other shit all day. And the only women who were doing well in that situation were white women who were fucking rich. That's it. Nobody else did well under that circumstance. Everybody else was struggling hard. And on top of that, men came home from working all day, having to take care of all this crap, and abused the women in their homes.
Well, let me say
That's
this.
why we started having all the divorces in the 70s. It's because women could start filing for divorce for the first time. And we wanted out of that situation.
Well, let me say this. I think that often, just like when we bring up a woman's right to choose, rape, incest, and things like every woman wasn't going through that. Just like every termination is not a measure of rape or incest. Every woman that was staying home on behalf of her husband going out and working was not in an abusive marriage. We're just using that because
they were, but I'm saying the only ones that lived that life of, we have freedom to take care of the kids and all. Those women were having to work too. They had farms. Women worked the farms. They had kids. That is a white rich person's fantasy. That is not the reality of most of the American public.
But you're also
kids were working until the 30s. Tim, think about that. Women were working the waist shirt plant. The reason we have unions now, where women were all sewing in these factories, locked in these buildings with chains till that sucker burned to the ground.
Well, first of all, you do understand that there's some housewives where no kids were involved, right? If you're married to a guy and y'all don't have kids yet,
I understand, but I'm just saying that the life y'all are describing, that's a fantasy, though, for the most part. Most women will never get to live that life, not ever. Like, women worked, even in the 20s and in the 30s, women went and filled all the jobs where men were gone in the 40s to World War II.
Well, when you say most women will never...
We sacrificed back then. People in this country don't know what sacrifice is. Tell them they're going to have to ration sugar and flour.
Yeah. Well, when you say it's a fantasy and most women will never get to live that life, I think, Andy, to some degree, is because of the feminists, and I hate to go down this path, but the feminists has made it so they won't get to live. You got feminists fighting for the right to be drafted.
No, that life never, I'm telling you, that life was a fantasy. We see it in TV depicted, but if you go back and look at history books, like, most poor people, like, women were having to to take care of the kids, grow small farms. Have you ever seen the old washing machines, Tim?
Yeah, we had one when you.
That had a crank and a damn washboard. Like, can we like act like that's not real hard labor? Like.
Yeah, but you're in 2024, Andy. It's like living in
a. You're going to get a job that supports all those kids, even if women stepped out of the workforce.
Why do you keep assuming? But that's what I'm asking you. Why do you keep assuming that the housewife is going to have a bunch of kids? You could have a husband, wife, and one child. Everybody don't have 8 kids.
Congress refused to codify birth control.
That's
why it's not a hard assumption to make. Even the state of Alabama, which we're stupid as hell most of the time, after the IVF scare, women were like, no, we're not down with that. Alabama codified birth control right after IVF, after that fiasco with the Supreme Court and the egg. So even Alabama knows that if you don't codify birth control with the laws we got going, women are going to be conscripted into pregnancy. Don't act like that's not true.
No, I agree with that. And I see your boy Gen X wanted to talk and say, here we go. And
Andy, I don't give a shit. He's inconsequential. Like, I don't talk to things that are not important to me.
But he is suggesting you're giving us some kind of new view on how domestic violence works. I mean, that's what he's stating. But what I'm simply saying is, when we talk about the way things were in yesteryear, it is typical for women to go to the worst case examples. There are plenty of grandmas out there that will tell you, I was fine with your granddad going to work. We lived a good life. Yeah, we didn't have as much, but I was quite happy.
Wait, I don't know what my grandmother's both
You know what I'm talking about, Andy. There are women from that era that were happy.
My mother's side that was born in the 30s worked as a waitress. My daddy's mama, she worked at the sewing factory, working at Wrangler. Where are all these women that didn't have jobs?
They existed.
I didn't know any growing up. Where are they?
I'll tell you right off the bat, my mom did not work. My dad worked for the phone company, came home from the Vietnam War, got a job working for Illinois Bell in Chicago as a lineman, made decent money. This is a union job. Now, we do need to bring unions back to make this shit happen. That's the problem, is the pay has dropped so damn much. But worked at a union job, made a decent living. We were a middle-class family. My mom didn't work, and we did all right. So I know it can happen because I lived through it. Huh?
That's great, but I mean, but like in the South where a lot of people are poor, our reality's not the same. Our grandmothers, like my grandmother worked, my mama's mama worked, even my great grandmother ran the farm.
Well, I can't argue with your point. The South has different laws in terms of labor and employee relations. They don't fight for employees to get paid properly. But up in the North, where you got a dad that may be a cop or a fireman or work for the park district or the transit authority with a good paying job, it can still be done. It can actually be, because when you think about it, okay, mom and dad both work, the amount of money they're paying to child care, which is one of the topics we're talking about today, if mom stays home, they save all of that, at least for the first 4 or 5 years the kid's around. That might be all of mom's salary. So it can be done if dad is getting paid, and you don't need to be rich. Like I said, these union jobs I'm talking about, you're not rich, but you're making a good living.
All these red states are right to work states.
Yeah, you can't do it in the red state.
Louisiana.
Yeah, you can't do it.
All of them.
Yeah, you can't do it in the red states. You got to do it in the state that fights for employees to make a decent salary. In the red states,
I used to say that though. The red states are the ones fighting to make women have no rights, but the blue states are the ones that are working to give them the rights so they can stay home and have the kids. Now, isn't that funny?
Yeah. And in the comments, Trade Alliance says, Tim, where you live? In Chicago. I grew up in the 70s and 80s in Chicago, and my dad worked for Illinois Bell, a union outfit that paid a good wage, and my mom didn't work. Chicago.
And Denise in the comments is from Alabama, and she agrees with me.
Yeah, in Alabama, just like most Republican states in the Bible Belt, don't do a lot for workers' wages. You can't do this.
So why would Republican government, who already don't make their red states, give the same rights to employees, be better for the country who are making women have babies to have this scenario that the red wants? Like, that makes no absolute sense. I'm just pointing that out.
And I'll certainly concede that point to you. By the way, Dennis Calhoun, funny comment. Granddad had a whole other family. Grandma was trapped. That happened a
A
lot.
lot of that too.
That
Let's
is,
not-
yeah.
And look, women went into the insane asylum. Grandpa, yeah, you didn't know about that?
I've heard
Grandpa decided you could. Do you know why Reagan? Like, we give Reagan crap for getting rid of mental health, but you know why he did? Because 2/3 of the people in the damn institutions weren't really crazy. They were put there by family members.
Wow.
They were done with their ass. And the kids, they had kids, they were done with their ass. Stuck those kids in there and never went back again.
Damn.
Now, we needed to replace that mental health care system with something else, not just get rid of it, which is what Reagan did. But yes, mental health care in this country, like Mary Kennedy, they lobotomized her, Tim.
No, I didn't know that. Well, we do need mental health
Women
facilities.
got lobotomized all the time in the 50s for not obeying. What? That's why I'm sitting there in the comments going, what are you talking about? They literally lobotomized us with that shit. Have you seen a 1950s woman medicine cabinet? We'll go back to the 50s when they give us back a 1950s medicine cabinet. I'm just saying.
Okay, well, let's take that part of history out of the Make America Great portion. Let's not lobotomize her. Well, then again, I don't know. Maybe in the bedroom if she doesn't really know what she's doing. I don't want to go there, but I haven't heard of that. That's something new.
Talk about how that it was to the 1990s where it was against that we didn't make it against the law that you couldn't grape your wife. Come on, where's the fantasy of how women had it so good? Women have never had it good in this country. It's bullshit. And we're tired of it. And we're not going back. We're not going back. We don't care what those MAGA women says. They can stay in the dark if they want to. History says I'm right, and we're not going back.
All right, Andy, I'll concede this one. I'll get you next time. Thank you. In the comments, someone says, well, first of all, somebody asked, was I an only child? No, I was the deprived middle child. I was it was three of us. I was the middle kid. And like I said, my mom didn't work, so it did happen. Also in the comments, Whoopi talks about how her father did that to her mother. Yeah, listen, at the end of the day, if you have a society where men have all the power and very little accountability, mistreatment and oppression of women kind of comes naturally. It will happen. I don't disagree with that at all. And by the way, there's this Elon Musk just got on social media, I think yesterday or today, and talked about all the power in this country should go to alpha males. Kind of like my boy Gen X on YouTube that often talks about a woman shouldn't have the right to vote. I don't know why, but there is a lot of folks, at least on the MAGA side of the aisle, that do seem to separate women and men in terms of equality, where they give the hierarchy to men. I haven't talked to one liberal yet that believes that. I've talked to a lot of MAGA that believe that men, certainly in positions of power, executive positions, men are better for those positions than women. I've talked to a lot of MAGA that believes that. I don't know if I talked to, well, yeah, I have. I've talked to MAGA females as well that believe that. I don't know why, other than maybe it's biblical. Maybe it's something straight out of the Bible or religion. But there are people who do believe that. Look it in the comments. Tap the screen, by the way. That's a shame, says twin mom. Yeah, I don't, in regards to the pro-choice, pro-life debate, based on my personal analysis, it is bad for women. I understand you want to say the life of the unborn, but there is nothing good in it for women at all. Okay, we're giving the right to the state. We're not taking your rights back. But at the very least, you might have to move a few hundred miles at your own expense. We may throw you in jail if you try to violate. I mean, for women, it's 100% bad. It's about saving the life of the unborn. It is not about women at all. I haven't heard anything good in the direction that's taken for women. Whether you want to say it's losing rights or not, it's certainly a downgrade on your quality of life, even from a standpoint of, well, now you need to move at your own expense. That's not good. She always sounds miserable and should want to go back. Now that's Ed G on YouTube referring to my last caller, Andy, who comes on the program regularly. Andy's a friend of the program. Ed G is also, by the way, who's on the other side of the aisle, and he says she always sounds miserable Therefore, she should want to go back to a different era. That's mean. Going back to the box. Wow. You guys are not easy today. DJ Julio. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program, DJ Julio. Now, I take it you've been listening in, Julio. What am I getting wrong?
I mean, listen, I don't know. I mean, I normally like your last caller. You know, she has a decent view if I were to look at the left-leaning side of myself. But
is there even part of you, now you're MAGA, is there any part of you at all that leans left?
I mean, there's a little bit of me that leans left, I'm sure. I'm not necessarily a moderate, but I would say like maybe 10%.
Do you believe a woman should have a right to choose?
I do, but I'm still pro-life.
Explain.
It's not my job to tell you what to do, but it's definitely my job to stand on what I believe. And I believe if you lay in bed with somebody, male or female, and you end up with a baby, that's your gift. And whether you decided you wanted that or not, that's on you. You shouldn't have laid down.
So if a woman, let's say at 2.5 months along, her and the boyfriend breaks up, or maybe she goes into deep depression and decides this is not the right time for me, I want to get rid of this. It's 2.5 months along. Should the law prevent her in any way from doing that?
Say that question one more time. You kind of confused me.
She's 2 months pregnant, and her and the boyfriend breaks up, or she goes through a bout of depression and decides right now is not the time for me to be a mother. I want to end this. Should the law prevent her from doing so?
I think good morals should prevent her from doing that.
And if she doesn't have good morals, what happens?
Well, then I guess in your words, that's where the state would have to step in and be like, listen, you made that choice. This is what your prize is. Play stupid games, get stupid prizes.
Would you support the state stepping in and doing that?
Forcing her to have the kid? Like, what are you trying to say? Like, am I okay?
I'm asking you if she's 2 months along and for some reason decides she don't want the kid, should the law prevent her from doing so?
I think that we should have a standard that prevents that, yeah.
So the state should stop her?
We should prevent that, yes.
Okay, then you're not pro-choice. What makes you say you're pro-choice? You're not.
Because I'm not going to allow each one of my daughters and my wife and the women around me, I'm going to allow them to choose their thing. I still have a thought. I still have a belief.
No, when you say the law should stop her, that's not a belief. Now you're doing things by force. I could believe.
Right. And what about? And I've told you about this before. I said it a million times before. I've stated. We've talked about this one over and over. If you are unable to make your good decisions by yourself as a child, your parents step in. America is a young nation, so the government would be our parent. And if we're not making good choices, they need to guide us to the right way.
You mean like with firearms?
I mean, listen, my kids, since they were 14, I feel bad about all those kids and those teachers. Man, we had a lockdown here yesterday. It freaked me out.
But
freaked me out. My daughter.
You just suggested that.
What I'm getting at. You brought up guns. Yes, my children have been around guns since they were little.
No. That ain't how I brought it up. You suggested that as a society, if we're making irresponsible choices, the government should act as our parents. As a society, we are not responsible with firearms in America. Now, you're talking about your own personal kids. Maybe they're responsible as hell. But as a society, we are not being responsible with firearms. Should the government step in and be our parents?
We've talked about that too. Yeah, they don't need to take away the Second Amendment, but they need to make it harder for people to access guns. I like, and I both feel bad for the father of that kid because now he is being held responsible. I understand why they're doing that, and that's why in my family we've always taught, even before me, we've always taught gun responsibility.
I think you're going in the other. I think the moment I used your statement in reference to the Second Amendment, you started kind of backtracking. I mean,
No, I'm not trying to backtrack. What I'm telling you is we're not. You're not giving me like scenarios.
Yeah, I am. I'm talking about irresponsible. I'm talking about irresponsible behavior.
You're absolutely. That's why we have all the precautions that we have right now when we have to buy guns. That's why some people get delayed. That's why in some states you can't carry. That's why in some states you can. I mean, we have individual.
Oh, wait. You said all those precautions. Give me some examples of all these precautions you're talking about that interfere with you buying a firearm. Precautions like what?
Well, if I'm a violent criminal, I definitely get delayed. If I have a felony, I'm not buying a gun.
If you are a law,
if I get pulled over and I have my gun in my car and it's chambered, that is also a crime.
If you are a law-abiding American citizen that is 18 years of age, what precautions are you talking about that prohibit you from buying a firearm?
Say that again. I was reading that comment.
If you are a law-abiding citizen that is over 18, what precautions are out there prohibiting you from buying a firearm or even making it difficult?
Well, we got background checks. That's number one.
Give me number two.
Well, for buying a gun, all you need is a background check. And
so there's no precautions. So there's no precautions.
That is a precaution because if you're a dirtbag, you're not going to get a gun.
So you said all these precautions, but now you're admitting there's really only one. Get a background check. Other than that, you can have a gun.
Well, you can have a certain kind of gun. You got to go through more steps, and you got to buy tax stamps, and you got to buy all this other stuff, and you got to get FFL licenses. I mean, there's a lot of shit that you got to do in order to have a crazy gun. Now, we're gonna get off that because that's a round.
Yeah, because you're going nowhere with that. Keep going.
Neither one of us are going anywhere.
No, you use the term precautions, plural. There are no precautions.
Okay, the precaution to get a gun then. I'll give you that.
Right.
The precaution to get a gun. But that's not the same as saying if you have unprotected sex, we've given you all the tools. We've given you birth control. We've given you condoms. We've given you diaphragms. We've given you I think that's it. The day after.
Why don't you give them daycare? They need that too.
Oh, listen, I don't agree, but you've got to be okay with paying for it, Tim.
We're getting somewhere. So you would support in states where they're limiting a woman's right to choose or banning it outright, you would support the government stepping in and helping those women take care of those kids?
Absolutely. They do that already.
No, they don't.
Daycare assist. They do. They have daycare assistance programs, Tim.
And that's guaranteed.
They have WIC. They have Title 19. They have all these other things that help the women. I've had children. I've been broke. I know what it's like to have to borrow from the government. We don't do that. We don't teach that anymore because we want to be independent.
You do realize that you could have a child as a female, be a single mom, have a low-paying job that is just enough not to qualify for the programs you're talking about, but not earn enough at your job to pay for it.
Yep, you know what? My 24-year-old daughter, sometimes she's listening, so I won't say her name out loud. I won't put her on the spot. But my 24-year-old daughter has a 4-year-old daughter. She's been at the same job for 9 years. Your daughter listens to the program? Yeah, sometimes they pipe in when they find out I'm on here to see how much hate I get.
Daughter, your dad is crazy. Your dad is crazy. Daughter of DJ Julio, your damn dad is crazy. Go ahead.
You ain't saying nothing they don't already know.
Okay. All right. Then if they know, okay.
But what I'm getting at is she doesn't qualify for daycare assistance. She qualifies for some of the other programs to help her with food or we're Native American, so we don't have to really worry about health care thanks to the treaties that we signed after all of our land.
Oh, so it sounds like you a MAGA Indian enjoying a little bit of socialism, are you not?
I actually pay for my medical.
But
I do. I have the ability, yes.
Right.
I have the ability to live off the system, at least in the medical field.
A little bit of socialism never hurt. All right, keep going. And by the way, you're voting for Native Americans' best interest, worst interest. Go ahead.
If you think that the Native Americans got it good, Brother, you've never been on a reservation.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that at all.
Well, if I'm voting in their best interest, I'm voting for somebody who's going to teach them how to be a man and get up off your ass and go to work. That's what I'm going to get.
All right.
I did want to talk. You were talking about. I'm starting to take notes so I don't get confused when I talk to your ass.
All right, that's a good thing.
You're talking about pro-choice versus pro-life.
Right.
And capital punishment. It goes along with that because conservatives are more.
Yeah, if you're going to complain about taking a life, if you're going to complain that it's wrong to take a life, then capital punishment should be in the same category, right?
Not even close.
Why not?
Well, pro-choice, you choose alone.
What?
If I say pro-choice, if I say I'm pro-choice,
right?
I'm a man. I believe women should have pro-choice, which okay. I don't think that anybody should tell women what to do. Just so that's out there. I don't tell my wife what to do.
You already contradicted yourself earlier in the conversation. You already stated you would support a state having a right to tell her no. You're backtracking. What are you doing, Trump?
No, I'm not. I told you I lean a little left. Not all of my ideologies are freaking MAGA or Republican. I've told you this.
Okay.
Don't paint me in the light. We have great conversations. I love when you message me direct. I love our conversations. I love how when I get on, they start liking your button a little more, so I get the fuck off. Yeah, I really fucking enjoy it. I really do. I mean, the haters. The hater created me, I guess.
Here's what I'm saying, Julio.
But what I'm getting at, let me finish it, because I got a good point. In my opinion, I got a good point. When a woman's choosing, she's choosing for herself. She's not allowing the man to have a choice. She's not allowing the child to have a choice. When you are capital punishment, you have a jury of 12 that decided to convict a criminal with this, in what they call that, sentence him to the same thing that his crime was.
And
if you're a thief, you lose a finger. If you're a thief again, you lose a hand. If you take a life, you lose your life.
Okay.
That's 12. That's 12 people. 12 of his peers.
So it's not right for a woman to take a life in a pro-choice, pro-life argument, but it's okay to take a life if you can get 12 people to agree to it.
That's what our judicial system is, my sir.
That's it. So it's okay. It's wrong for the woman to take a life in her own body, but it's okay for the judicial system to decide to do it.
So what I'm saying is, as a woman that's pro-choice and decides that she's not going to tell her man, she's not going to talk to anybody else about it, she's just going to go and do and unalive that child. Doesn't want to raise it. Had a fun Saturday night, but now she regrets it.
Okay. She alone is making a choice to take a life. Well, she's the only one that's got to give the life.
In the judicial system, if there's capital punishment, if there's not capital punishment, now all of our lives are affected in that community. You said it yourself. Taxes pay for the criminals.
You're killing somebody to save money. Isn't that exactly what a woman...
You're killing somebody because they killed somebody.
That's revenge. Now you're taking a life for revenge.
That is an eye for an eye.
That's revenge. An eye for an eye is revenge.
No, listen, Tim. If we had capital punishment in this nation, and I think that we should. I'm glad we didn't when I was younger, but I think that we should.
Okay.
Because had I thought for a second, anytime I thought I stole something, if I got busted for stealing something, I was going to lose a finger. I wouldn't be stealing shit. And if I got
hold on. You're going to give me overload. Let me just say this. We often say that we're pro-life. This is what the pro-life crowd says. You know, God says it's wrong to kill, and God says, you're talking about chopping off the finger of one of God's children because you don't like what he did with the hand. You're talking about executing folks because at the end of the day, society saves money. What the hell? What part of the Bible is this?
Ecclesiastics, I think.
I think it's the book of hypocrisy. You're okay. You're actually okay with killing as long as it meets your definition. You're okay with taking a life.
It's not my definition. It says in the Bible, "Thou shalt not kill," and it says, "If you break my 10 Commandments, you shall be punished in likeness." What does that mean? In likeness.
Then it means that the Bible is being hypocrite. The Bible has hypocrisy in it, which we know it does. If it says thou shalt not,
there's got to be a reaction for every action. That's natural law.
If it says thou shalt not kill, then the part where it says, an eye for an eye or in my likeness, those two things they're countering each other. That's hypocrisy right there.
No, because you go in front of a judgment of your peers. You go through, there's a process. We don't just in the street, maybe in some counties and maybe in some cities it happens that way, where if somebody unalives one of your friends, you go and unalive them. But in the judicial system, it's not how it works.
Is the phrase thou shalt not kill in there? Is it not part of the 10 Commandments?
It absolutely is.
Right.
It also is in the Bible that if you break the commandments, you should be punished in likeness.
Okay. So one part of it is clashing against other parts of it. It doesn't say thou shalt not kill with the exception of all these things you're talking about. You got to read another part of the book to get that.
Tim, if you're driving too fast, you're going to get a speeding ticket. That is an action because of your action.
Yeah, but there's no
reaction of your action.
No.
Right?
If I drive too fast, hold on, hang on. If I drive too fast, I'll get a speeding ticket. There is no other part of U.S. law that says it's okay to drive fast. The whole damn law says if you drive too fast, you get a ticket. You're telling me part of the Bible says thou shalt not kill, and then other parts is giving you a reason where you are allowed to do it. That's the clash. That's not in law. So your speeding ticket example, I don't think resonates.
Okay, so then in your mind and in your rationale, everybody should be able to do whatever they want to. They can leave it up to God. You think you can? Which you say? I think I believe in God.
No, I believe that if
let me ask you this question: if somebody does something immoral, stealing, killing, the R word, graping, I guess is the way we say it here, unaliving. Should there be a punishment?
Yes.
Okay, so if I come to your house, right? Let's pretend you're married. I don't know if you are, if you're not. I don't need to know if you are, if you're not. But let's pretend you are. I come to your house and I'm pissed off, and I shoot it up. Bam, 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 bam. I end up taking out your daughter and your wife. Don't know that they're in there. I'm looking for you.
Shrimp TV, thank you. Yeah, I'm listening.
You think I should have my life?
I think if you are dangerous to society, you should be incarcerated. And you don't need to be killed, though. No, hold on. If you come to my house in the example you used, and I'm not able to take your life, but the justice system does it, they're doing that for revenge. Even if I want them to do it, at the end of the day, it is a revenge killing.
I mean, I can see where you're coming from, but I disagree with it wholeheartedly. I think that if I punch you in the face, Tim, what are you going to do? Are you going to run away and call the cops, or are you going to beat my ass? You're bigger than me, I can tell.
If I hit you back, I'm doing it for revenge. I want to hurt you because you hurt me. It's revenge. What is your definition of revenge?
My definition of revenge is the same.
Right. Executing a violent person is out of revenge. Only time it is okay where it's not revenge is when you're doing it to save a life. If I come in your house at night and you take my life, that is to save a life. But if you got somebody already incarcerated and you execute them a year or two from now, that is revenge.
No, they had to go through their proceedings. You just kind of did what I did there. You walked over what you said. You said there shouldn't be killing, but if I'm protecting somebody, it's okay to kill somebody.
No. I believe that if you're saving a life, you have no other choice.
If I'm protecting somebody, yeah. Okay. So by leaving me in jail, where eventually I can pretend to be good and maybe get out in 5-10 years.
You ought to stay in forever. The 14-year-old.
I have a friend of mine here, and this fucking story breaks my heart, and I probably shouldn't even give it to the world. I'm not going to say any names. A friend of mine who is he's 43 years old, had a 25-year-old son.
Dennis, that's a great comment, by the way. Dennis in the comments, vengeance is mine, says the Lord. Great comment. Samuel L. Jackson used it. Go ahead, DJ.
Long story short, he was in the front passenger seat of the car, and some guys he thought were his friends. Some guys that thought he was were his friends, shot him in the back of the head.
Okay.
Threw him out of the car. The kid that orchestrated the deal, who's got the legal system has text messages setting this young man up, got 10 years. 10 years for assisting in a murder. The person that murdered him only got 20 years. Now, what part of that is justice for the family, for the community, for any of them?
Well, first of all, let's be clear what justice is. It is revenge.
Justice is paid in likeness.
Yeah, revenge. We can call it whatever the hell we want. At the end of the day, when you say I'm getting justice for the family, you're talking about I'm going to go and get revenge for what they did to your... It is revenge, no matter how you phrase it. Because as you stated...
Then we're arguing semantics. Yes, 100%. I am against revenge.
Right, and I'm
against...
against...
Locking somebody up for the crime for the rest of their life is revenge. I just think the better revenge for the community is if you take a life, you lose a life.
Well, I don't believe in
for women. Not saying that for women in abortion. I'm saying for capital punishment.
And I'll go back to the original part of the conversation, which is if you're telling a woman she should not take the life of the unborn, but you're okay with taking lives out of revenge, I think your morals are messed up. If you're pro-life, you're pro-life.
Because the legal system is different than the morality of a woman who decided to go party on the weekend, and god dang it, she met this boy, she liked him, they dated for 6 months, now she's pregnant, 6 more months go by, they break up. She's 6 months pregnant.
I don't think taking a life for revenge is moral either, DJ. I mean, I don't care what he did. If you're taking a life for revenge, I think the morals are wrong.
You put him in life. You put him in prison for life. You're taking his life anyway.
No,
her life.
You're giving him a different life to adapt to. I think most people
but you're taking their life from them. If I'm not living my current life because I did something stupid and I'm incarcerated, guess what? I'm not living my current life.
That's a different argument.
I lost my life.
That's a different argument then. I mean, if you could say if you get fired from your damn job, you're living a different life. I mean, that could go anywhere. I'm simply saying you're taking a heart that's beating and making it not beat anymore. That is killing someone.
Okay, so we're just talking about locking somebody up for life versus killing somebody for killing somebody.
I'm talking about if you are pro-life, you should not be in favor of executing a healthy living person under any circumstance. You shouldn't. You're making the crowd that is in favor of doing it for what you call justice are saying that my reason for taking somebody's life is actually morally right as opposed to the mother, what she is doing. I think what I'm doing is okay, but what the mother is doing is wrong. All you're doing is giving yourself hierarchy. If you're pro-life, you shouldn't be taking the life no matter what.
Right. And you know what? I get 100% what you're saying. I just wholeheartedly agree or disagree with you that there's any correlation or likeness between abortion and unaliving somebody.
The correlation is simple. It's death.
It's not. No, it is completely different because they are two different scenarios. One is criminal. One is a lady or a wife or girlfriend or somebody who all of a sudden decided that being safe and protected from accidental pregnancy was not on the highest priority. And it's okay for me because I partied on the weekend to go ahead and unalive this child. Yeah. Again, I said it before. I don't care about the day after pill. I think that's a good birth control.
All right.
I think that's okay. And to answer one of your people's questions, I am 100% behind all of the circumstance, all of the stipulations, all the all of the what do you call them?
You got me confused at this point.
Because you weren't listening.
Go ahead. plane. I gotta move it on. I'll let you land the plane.
Let me just finish. I am for abortion if there are situations that involve it. When that comes to rape, incest, birth control not working. I'm not okay with lazy morals and lazy responsibility abortions. I'm not.
I'll just say this, Julio, I got to move on, but I'll just say this. At this point, you got about as much credibility on this pro-choice shit as President Trump. I got to go, though. After that conversation.
You got less than that, so I'm just saying. You got less than that because you're not doing it apples to apples. You're doing it apples to bananas, Tim. You can't do that.
All right. We disagree.
You can't take morality and justice and put it in two different, and say they're the same. You can't. That is, for you, when I heard you say that, I was like, I had to squint my eyes. I don't have my glasses. I had to squint my eyes. Is that really Tim? Because that doesn't make any sense. He's too educated to think that that's the same thing.
All right. I got to go. I'll talk to you about it on the other side. I will just say this, and he's not the only one. And I see in the comments, I'm for stoning. Damn, Ed G. I'm for stoning Bible approved Allahu Akbar. Well, as I just stated, now, me and my last caller obviously vehemently disagree on this topic, but in my opinion, if you're pro-life, you are pro-life. All of this, well, I'm pro-life, but if the person does that, or if they do this, now, then you're not pro-life. If you're going to say that you're pro-life, but if a person goes and harms a kid or takes a life, then you can take that life, then why can't the mother say, I'm pro-life, but if a woman is financially destitute, or if she's raped, then I'm for taking a life. Why does the mother lose her right to make choices, but the pro-life person that's banning the mom have a belief that they have reasons for why it's okay? That sounds like you're just picking and choosing when things favor you. I'm 100% pro-choice. I don't make no qualms about that. I'm 100% pro-choice. But I do believe that if you're pro-life and you're pro-capital punishment, then you're not genuinely pro-life. You're almost like just simply being anti-women's rights, in my opinion. DJ Julio totally disagrees. Fair enough. Going back to the box, and by the way, in the comments, Ronnie Bear says, just is pro-life until he realized it won't help him with the voters. That is true. You're talking about President Trump, I guess. Trump is pro-life until he realized he was losing women's votes. I do believe that his handlers told him, sir, this rolling back of Roe v. Wade is costing you women's voters, which is why he's come out and said, me and Vance will be great for women's rights. As I told my last caller, you kind of lost, I think Trump has lost credibility with that. I don't think many women might believe Trump is better with the economy, better on the border, and might be better for this country, but I don't think you're going to find many women that believe he's going to be great for women's rights. He hasn't promised to really do anything. So I don't know. I don't even know what's making him say it. If somebody questions him. Now, he has a debate 4 days coming up next Tuesday. I don't know if Kamala or the moderator will present that, but he probably should be rehearsing for that. If someone was to put that question in front of him, sir, you got on social media and stated that you and Vance are going to be great for women's rights, could you please state how? I don't think he would have an answer for that. I don't know. What are you planning on doing, sir? What are you doing for women's rights that Kamala Harris and Biden has failed on, or the previous administration didn't do? I don't know what answer he would say. I think it's just something he kind of threw out to make it about face. Going back to the box, with women, you have to make a decision and see what noise they make anyway. Is what the hell? Oakview, you said with women, you have to make a decision and see what noise they make anyway. It's hard to calibrate where they stand. So what you're saying is women can be wishy-washy. So you need to just say some shit and see how they gonna respond to it. Wow. I don't know if that's very pro-woman of you, Oakview. Jesus. Look at the comments. Whatever Trump says, it won't make sense. Us, man, I'll leave that. Well, I think Trump has said things that make sense. I won't go that far. On the animal farm, all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. That's hilarious, Mr. McKinney. Going back to the box. Oh no. Oh no. We'll go to wait a minute before we do. Pat, I'm at Miss Tammy Green. Good to see you on. Hey, good to have you on. How are you?
Hi, good.
Hey.
So I have to say it. I'm kind of a little ticked off about that gentleman before. Sorry, no offense, but dude, let's hear it from a woman that's been there. Not all of us are out there loosey-goosey spreading our legs for men. Some of us actually have health issues. And having a baby and being married. There are women out there that are married and conceived with their husband and have health issues. So we're going to risk the life of the woman for something that's not born yet.
Wow. Well, and that's what I said earlier, Tammy, is that I do believe the whole pro-life stance is about saving the life of the unborn. In regards to your question, yeah. If it means saving the life of the unborn and the mom is at risk, save that baby. I think the whole focus is on saving the life of the unborn. I do believe that.
Oh, so like what they want to believe. So the mom doesn't count. She's human.
I wish I had a better answer for you. Kate Cox, the 31-year-old in Texas that had a baby with an extra chromosome, they were doing that to her. She had to leave the state of Texas to go elsewhere because she had a chance of losing her life, and the baby only had a 5% chance of survival, and they were making her carry that baby to term. If your life is in danger, they will, at least in my analysis, focus on saving that baby first.
Which I'm sorry, that baby cannot live outside the mother until it's at least so many months old.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you have a child, an unborn that has a heartbeat, but is totally non-viable. Like the woman down in Louisiana was a black woman who was about to give birth to a baby that didn't have a skull, but it still had a heartbeat. It's totally non-viable. Does not have a skull, but while it's still in the womb being protected, it does have a heartbeat. They would not let that woman terminate that baby.
Exactly. Yeah. And which I'm sorry, I'm going to offend people by saying this, but it all goes back to power and control. In my eyes, they want us to go back to the 1800s, where we had no rights and we were owned by our husbands. So we couldn't do anything.
So then I have to ask, if you feel that the right is trying to do, then why are there so many female MAGA out there? There's a lot of women. I get them every day that are supporting Trump. You're saying they're trying to take women's rights as about a power struggle or a takeover. There's a lot of women that are MAGA.
So when I was married for 25 years. And I was really young when I got married. So put it that way. I believe what my husband believed. I was that subservient. Wow. My husband knew everything. I gave him all the power in the world. So I think that there are still women that are like me in a sense where they still believe what their husbands believe. I may be wrong on that. And I know that there are women in power that still believe, but it still goes back, whether they want to admit it or not, they're going to believe what their husbands, and they're going to back their husbands up because that's what we do.
Yeah. I do believe that there are plenty of women that vote like just like a lot of folks vote like their family, or maybe what their mom or dad told them to do. I do believe there are plenty of women that will vote based on the wishes of their spouse. But some folks are suggesting that this election, there are going to be a lot of women that are lying to their husband and telling their husband they're going to do what he wants them to do, but then go to the ballot and do something else. Do you think the women will come out for Kamala?
I sure know how hope so. Have you ever watched the movie? That movie is a series, I would say, on Hulu, I think. The Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I always refer back to it, and I had a friend of mine who I was like, so wishy-washy. In that essence, I'm like, you're kidding me. This cannot be the future. This cannot be. But the more I read up on Project 2025, the more I saw what's really going on, and my eyes were open to what's really going on in our society and in our nation. It seems like we're heading back to that. Like the women are just going to be cash cows. And if we can't fulfill the needs of having a child, we're going to be a servant or killed.
Well, I do have to throw out there for Trump's defense, he is saying he has nothing to do with Project 2025. I'm taking it you don't believe him.
Sorry. You and I both know that's bullshit.
Well, he is saying it, so I have to throw that out there. He is saying now he does claim Agenda 47, and there's a lot of similarities between 2025 and 47, and he is claiming that.
I still don't. When you have people surrounding you that have been part of 2025, and yet you know nothing about it and you want nothing to do with it, but everybody else around you has it or is all about it.
Yeah.
I think there's a little bullshit there.
So you're not buying it. What about the economy? Folks say Trump would get the economy back on par. He would secure the border. You don't see any good in Trump?
Okay, so here's my take on the economy. If you go back, and I actually looked at this and I talked to you about it, I went back into history. Every single time a pandemic happened, the economy tanked. Every single time.
Makes sense.
And then it slowly came back up. So it just so happened that Trump and all of this happened right when COVID hit.
Yeah.
So I believe that one man, whether he's president, has not as much control over the economy as everybody thinks. We live in a capitalist society.
But what about the notion that because the pandemic hit Trump's final year, didn't start happening until late 2019. The first 3 years of Trump's presidency, the economy was pretty strong. You don't give him any credit for that?
He was riding on Obama.
Yeah, I've heard that. But at the same time, let's be clear, if he had got in there and those first 3 years sucked, we would be blaming him, not Obama. But because the years are good, Obama gets to, is he in a position where the only grade he can get is bad? Because if he does good, we're going to give Obama credit for it?
I am making more per hour. I am doing better than I was under Trump. Maybe it's just me and my fortitude that I have to improve my life. So I have my 401k, I have my Roth, savings account. I set myself up. So maybe it's just my personal fortitude and not wanting to live paycheck to paycheck.
Well said.
But I'm doing better now than I was. And I've heard other people state that too.
So you don't dream of the days of returning back to the Trump economy?
Hell no.
Hey, I've asked this question a lot. I get a lot of folks that say the same as you. Tammy, I appreciate you coming on. Good talk. Doors always open to you.
All right. Bye, love.
Thank you. All right, moving on with the program. Ed G, that's a dumb argument. If you're pro-choice, if the woman is in labor but decides, never mind, then let her take the life of it, right? It's still not born, so not human, right? Well, I mentioned that earlier, Ed, is that there is a difference between the liberals and the conservatives and the liberals on this opinion. The conservatives believe it's a life at conception. The liberals believe it's a life at birth. I don't know how there's no middle ground to that. If you believe a man and a woman pair up and mate, sperm fertilizes the egg. We've all had biology. If you believe the next morning she got a life inside of her, I don't know how we convince the Democrats at that point that it's a life. I don't know, and I do agree with you in the comments. User 317 says no, viability. Fair enough. It's a life. Okay, so that makes a little bit more sense. So that means the Democrats will see it as a life when it's viable. 5 months, 6 months. There's preemies at that point that have been taken out of the womb and survived. Conception, there is zero viability. But the right believes at conception, many folks do, that it's a life. Gen X, make a sandwich for a man, Tammy, and you'll feel better. My God. Gen X never disappoints, suggesting in my last caller a female who believes that Trump is trying to turn back the rights of women is suggesting that if she simply made a sandwich for a man, she would feel a little bit better. Gen X, God. Okay, let me go back to the facts. Gen X, you never disappoint. Shouldn't be abortions after the baby can feel pain, says Christian H. There's a female. Hang on 1 second here. I do need to take this. Yo. Doing a live. What's up? A few minutes. All right, I'll be in a minute. I'll tell you in a minute. All right, let me go back to this. Somebody interrupted me on the call. Sorry about that on YouTube. Let me know. I had a call come in on TikTok. Damn it, Tim, says Jerry. All right, 401ks and stock market are great home prices in fine. What does that say? In fine, depending on area. That is true. While Trump is touting how great his economy is, and many on the right are saying, where you better off 4 years ago, as my last caller stated, a lot of folks aren't complaining about the Biden economy. I did a live about a week ago, and I asked folks that simple question: why are you voting? What's the main reason? And they gave a variety of different reasons. And then I asked folks, well, is it not the economy? Most of certainly my liberal viewers, women's rights, a threat to democracy, that's the stuff that's coming up. It's not the economy. It's now for the right, border security and the economy at the top of the list. But on the left, it's not the economy. I think that they're putting democracy and certainly women losing rights, in their opinion, above the economy. So go figure. Everyone is your out of touch guy. I don't quite get that one, Dylan. Trump takes it up oh my God. Okay. All right, John. Said Trump takes it up the rear. Jesus. All right, going back to the box. The one and only, since we're bringing his name up, Gen X. Good afternoon.
Tim, what's up, my man? Happy Friday.
Hey, appreciate you coming on. You're out there telling women to make sandwiches. You know something? Somebody today offered to make me a sandwich, and I told them, you remind me of one of my callers. Every time I hear the phrase now, make me a sandwich, I think of you.
Was it a lady?
Yes. And she didn't like it. When I told her, when I told her your story and how where that phrase came from, talked about you, she was pissed off.
Bro, you had an opportunity and you fucked it off.
An opportunity to do what? Get smacked?
Yeah, no, an opportunity for a real relationship, man. That makes women feel better, bro. You should have set up a table full of candles, bought a fresh loaf of expensive bread from the bakery, a whole bunch of expensive boar's head cold cuts, a nice jar of mayonnaise and some expressive mustard, and then handed her a butter knife when she walked into your crib and said, have at it, sweetie.
Hey, what are you, Andrew Dice Clay? I don't think that'll work. That sounds like some Andrew Dice Clay dating advice. I don't think that'll work. So bring a chick to your house and tell her to make you a sandwich. I don't know if that'll work.
I'm going to shock you, Tim.
Okay.
The shooter's dad being charged? I agree 100%.
Wow. What about the notion that there's no age limit to own a rifle? Do you agree with that?
I'm kind of on the fence on that one.
Why? Why would you be on the fence on regard a 14-year-old or a 12-year-old being able to own a rifle? What part of you says that should be okay?
Why? Because when I was 8 years old, I got my first rifle. It was a .22 nylon, and I was taught to responsibly use it. I went with my uncles and my pop hunting or out shooting. At the end of the day, my rifle was locked up. There's nothing wrong with teaching a child gun safety and responsibility. Nothing at all.
But Gen X, like I told you before, we talked about this off camera, and I told you when we were kids, we rode around in cars without a seatbelt. We rode bikes with no helmets. That don't mean it's a good thing because we survived. The fact that you owned a firearm or had access to it as a kid and nothing went wrong, that don't mean that was a good thing. It just means maybe society got lucky with someone being responsible like you. You really think it's okay to let kids have guns?
No, I'm not saying to arm a kid with an AR-style carbine rifle and send them out into the streets. No, that's foolish, and that's why I agree with the shooter's dad being charged. This is this has to be held by a case-by-case basis. This man knew that his young boy had mental problems. For God's sake, the kid was bi. Obviously, he's nuts.
Whoa. Wait a minute. You're saying a kid simply because they're bisexual means they're nuts?
They're mentally ill, yeah.
Just by being bisexual?
Yeah. Not bi, I'm sorry, trans. My bad. Or bi. Either or is mental illness. Either or. But this kid was trans.
So, but okay, I hear you on the trans front, and we'll certainly address that. But now you don't want to bi. You also, so bisexual, you believe if a person is bisexual, they're mentally ill?
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
Based on what?
What do you wake up in the morning and flip a fucking coin? You know what I mean?
Jesus Christ. No way. No. I mean, maybe you just like both sexes.
Well, you can like both sexes if you want to do the sleepy deepy with a man, and you're a man or a boy or a male. No, that's not okay, man.
So then you believe that? So then you believe that gay guys are also mentally ill?
I do. I do, and I have, and I. Well, I don't know if I went over this with you, but I have friends that are gay, and I express that to them, and they rib me and give me a hot shit about it, and that's okay.
Okay, hang on a second. I gotta answer this because Gina in the comments, Gina Gassica, if you want to support the program, you can do it through the app, the Handsome Liberal on Cash App, whatever you want to do. I'm gonna certainly respond to that, asking how you support the program, the Handsome Liberal on Cash App, whatever you want to do. I don't get a lot of supporters that ask that, so thank you. But so you believe the whole LGBT community is mentally ill?
Yep. Nuttier than fruitcakes.
That is awful, man. Come on now. So how do you respond to folks who would say you're a homophobe?
I am a homophobe. I fear mental illness. I'm not going to sit here and lie about that or make excuses or be one of the guests and say, oh, no, I'm not a homophobe, but I feel, no, this is the way I feel, and this is why. And yes, I fear mental illness because anything's possible with someone who's mentally ill.
You know what I mean? Regular. So Pete Buttigieg, mentally ill.
Pete Buttigieg, dude, Pete Booty Fudge is very mentally ill. Yeah.
Richard Simmons, the late Richard Simmons.
Nutty as a fruitcake.
God. I think you're being mean, man. I don't think you believe this stuff. You're being mean.
Now, do I think they're bad people? No. I don't equate bad people with mental illness. Absolutely fucking not. But there's a screw loose. Somewhere there's a screw loose.
I mean, I think a lot of us know plenty of law-abiding, tax-paying, patriotic, healthy folks that are part of the LGBT community, serve in the military. I don't see where you're getting this.
And I agree. I absolutely agree. People don't choose to be gay. I mean, if you're gay, that's your way. Okay, whatever. But I think that when you push it with the trans community, I think then you're at a whole new level of mental illness.
Yeah. I would say this, based on what you're saying, you're kind of confirming why a lot of the LGBTQIA community does not want to be on your side of the aisle. If I'm part of that community and I think I'm living my life fine, I'm happy with who I love, and some dude or some girl is telling me I'm mentally ill, I'm certainly not going to want to vote the way they are. I think you're kind of giving them an excuse, or a reason rather, not an excuse, but a reason to avoid the right altogether.
I think some of them agree with me.
Some?
Yeah.
I think all of them. I think, you sure you wouldn't be happy with maybe a gay dude making you a sandwich?
Oh, hey, hell yeah, he wants to make me a sandwich. I'm all right with that. Throw a wig on, grab a butter knife, and have at it, man.
Well, if based on how you're talking, and you're suggesting that he's mentally ill, you sure you want him to have a knife around you?
A gay dude? Absolutely.
He might cut your ass off.
I have no problem with gays. None. Zero.
You just said, yes, I'm a homophobe. Yes, I fear mentally ill. And now you follow it up with, I have no problem with gays. Are you sure you're getting this right?
Now, if a man walked into my house wearing a wig and lipstick and eyeshadow and a dress with a cock hanging down to his knees wanted to make me a fucking sandwich, yeah, that I got a problem with.
God, oh my Lord. I don't even know where to go with this. This conversation is way off the rails. But I do believe you are being open about how you feel. It's very unpopular, but I do believe you're not pulling any punches on how you feel. And I see the comments. You actually got some fans. Bogle Jam in the comments has said, I like this guy. And on YouTube, they really like what you're saying, but I don't.
Here's the other thing about the shooter's dad. Like I was saying, at first when I heard that they charged him, you know me, Tim. I was cussing at my computer through my mouse. I'm like, what kind of liberal bullshit is this? And then I thought about it, and I talked to a friend of mine who just happens to be very, very left. And you know what? She was right. She was right. This man knew that her kid had problems, and he facilitated the means for this child to hurt other people. The only thing I don't agree with is charging them both. Okay, if you want to charge a dad, charge the dad. This kid's 14. Help him. Don't ruin his life with a criminal background. Help this kid get healthy.
Help him. Help him? Who the hell's going to hire somebody that has 4 murders in their past? I don't know if there is any help for him.
Does that mean he doesn't deserve help?
I'm just telling you. I don't know what future he has. If that's on your resume, I took 4 people's lives.
He's a 14-year-old child, Tim, who was failed by not only his parents, but by the system, by the teachers, by law enforcement. This kid needed help, and nobody helped him.
Well,
I feel for the kid.
Here's
now,
where
is he
you.
a victim? No.
Here's where
he absolutely should be held accountable. But I think if you're going to charge your dad, okay, charge your dad. That's fine. I'm okay with that.
Well,
charge the kid too.
Well, here's where you and I disagree. When you said he's been failed by society and his dad and all that. In my opinion, if society allows a 14-year-old to get a firearm, as you said, you support as long as the kid is mature. The idea that we would give a child that young a lethal device, I think that's where the failure begins. Is we're assuming that a young kid will maintain enough maturity to maybe not give in to any urges to do something wrong. I mean, we're giving a lethal device that could take the whole classroom's life to somebody that young, and we're saying, well, we believe they may be mature enough to handle that. I think that's where the problem is. There should be an age limit on who can own a firearm. The idea that there's no age limit to that makes no sense to me. I think that's crazy.
I think there should be an age limit on who can independently possess a firearm. Now, who can own it if you're under, like I said, when I was young, I had a nylon 22, and I was supervised by my parents, and I come from a broken family, but my parents were very, very meticulous about that. I didn't have access to it without an adult, so I put that on the dad, man. I think that's kind of fair game.
I like your stance on this. I hope they consider this in more of these cases, because at the end of the day, your child should not have access to a firearm. I know the right does not favor laws requiring your gun be put in a safe, requiring trigger locks by law. They believe it should be an option, and a large portion of gun owners have children. And if you're against having laws that require a safe, this can and guaranteed will happen again. So I'm all for it as well. But Gen X, you know what I got to do. I got to move it on.
Brother, happy Friday, my man. Always a pleasure to talk to you. Ladies, make your man a sandwich.
Goodbye. Talk to you later. Oh my God. Any comments? I wanted to respond to a comment. I don't know where the hell happened to it. We want kids to make adult decisions. Yeah, that's crazy to me. Wondering if he would say the same if he was black. Ooh, I'll leave that alone. Both of them knew there would be consequences and knew that they had already been investigated. And that's what Ed G pointed out on YouTube, is that the family had already been investigated by the FBI. So it makes the dad look even more egregious that, you knew your kid had problems. But at the end of the day, if we want to suggest that a parent that knows their child has problems should be held accountable, how many kids don't have problems? He got suspended from school, or this one was in a fight and we know he hates the kid, or he got bullied by 3 kids, so we know you could come up with a million reasons for why a young child should not have access to a firearm. A lot of us have had troubles growing up in our youth. And they could tie it to, okay, your kid went to school and took out a bunch of people, and we can show that he was suspended 2 weeks ago because those same people were bullying him. You should have knew not to give him a gun. There's a whole bunch of reasons that could come up from. So at the end of the day, I don't believe it's safe to just assume a young minor child is going to be responsible and mature enough to handle lethal force. But it's a hell of a lot of folks on the right that would disagree with me. Nevertheless, folks, I do appreciate the 71,000 likes. I do got to move on a little bit earlier than normal tonight, but I appreciate the 71,000. Follow the program on TikTok, a subscription on YouTube, if you will. Someone has to pay for the poor people unalive. I agree. I watched the trial. Both the father and not trial, but when they first charge you and the judge tells you what your case is about. I watched both of those, the dad and the kid today, and the father was in court crying and things like that. When the judge is reading off that you're being charged with 4 counts of murder and manslaughter and all that. You're arraignment. Yes, right, Gen X. When you're hearing this stuff, I did a video on it because it's akin to really to attending your own funeral. 4 counts of murder. You already know at that dude's age, I think he's like 40s, 50s, it's over with. To quote Bill Paxton in the movie Aliens with Sigourney Weaver, it's over, man. It's over. If they find you guilty with all these damn murders, it's over. Rehabilitation, my ass. Parole, probation, you'll never see that. 4 lives? Now, the 14-year-old, there is a sliver of hope that he may one day see some freedom. But even then, it's going to be way down at, 2060 or some shit like that. But the dad is over with. It's essentially like literally attending your own funeral. The house you just left when they arrested you, you'll never go back there again. Just like the kid, when they arrested, the school you were attending, you'll never see the inside of that school again. In fact, the bedroom you have at home, you'll never see that again. It's over with. They got you in this jumpsuit, and you're going to be wearing stuff like this forever. You'll never see any of your regular life again. That's got to be rough. That's why the dad was in tears in court. But at the same time, the counter argument is, what about those families that lost their relatives permanently? It is, this is the society we live in. I don't believe the dad qualifies to lose his life, but the judge for a minute there told the kid you could actually face a death penalty. That is wrong, but he did tell him that and had to correct it. Thank you for the subscription there. That was Gina. Thank you very much. I do appreciate that. Thank you for your support. Monday through Friday. We'll certainly be on this weekend, though. Follow the program. Catch you tomorrow. Thank you also as well on YouTube. Catch you guys tomorrow as well.